So, today's lesson we're going to be focusing on layouts. We've looked at on the PowerPoint how when they go wrong, they can go completely wrong. We need to first of all work on the basis of selecting our final images. And what's a really good idea is get yourself some A3 pieces of paper, right, and lay them out with a quiet space at the background so that it's not interfering. We're not looking at the texture on the table, we're not looking at Bloom's taxonomy or the marking criteria, and it gives you a chance. And please, constantly move your images around, otherwise you don't see how they work together. And when images work on a page, they have to have flow between them. They have to have that they're weighted correctly, and we'll talk about weighting in a bit, but that there's not a bunch up of colour. So here if I took, let's say, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and put those on the one page, it's a very different move, right? So we're looking at the darker images, which are good images, but if we put them all together, then we darken down that page completely. The project is not about night time, alright? So, and you look at shape and formation. What I want you to start thinking about is the idea of cropping your image, right? It's okay to crop to match your article layout, right? You have your 300 words, it's up to you where those 300 words go. But this one might be interesting, and you just do a fold. Might be interesting if we crop it. So don't be scared to do that. And the best way is take those sample prints, fold them, and see how they look. What you're going to be using to help you with your magazine layout, one is the samples on section 7 on Moodle, and then it's also the past examples of students' work. Look at the published articles first, and print off a sample page, and have that beside to think, well, they tried it a little bit different. They weighted it different. They moved the image. They cropped it. They had a square set of images instead of rectangle. So use sample pages that are already available for you to have a look at. And the easiest way, so if we take it that A3 is how we're presenting our person at work, and then A2 is how we'll be presenting, A2 landscape, I have to say, is how we're going to be presenting our major documentary. Get some tracing paper, get a pencil, and then get a ruler. Alright? And what you're going to do is you're going to create, by looking at your samples, that you like the layout, you're going to create some templates, like this. Alright? I've done this one in marker just for convenience, so you can see it easier. But pencil's perfectly fine. And this is a sample layout that I like. And I think it will work with my images. And all you have to do then is put your images in the bottom corner underneath the tracing paper. Maybe it's a section of this image that I really like. You can fold it and put it in where you think it will suit. And you have to do a little bit of imagination because you've got to transform your images, change the shape of them and the size of them. So this one I had already folded, so maybe I'll put it in. And what I'd recommend for you for your backup pages is that you photograph as you go along. If we do this digitally, we don't have as much freedom of movement, having those spontaneous changes. And then we're looking at this one, looking at page layout. Right. So now when we're looking at this, if I lift it up, now when we're looking at it, we can see the ideas beginning to form on the page. We can see, okay, well, I've got dark at the bottom, and dark quite often works really well at the bottom of the page, and the lighter images at the top. There's a list on Moodle for you to go through, alright, for your layouts, and these are do's and don'ts. You can check this before you start working, and then check it during and at the end, before you print it. Alright, because we're talking, it's 40 pence for an A3 page, and then the A2 is going to be expensive, a bit more expensive as well. And that's to have our finished pieces ready for submission. Remember, A3 for person at work, A2 for major documentary, and it's as many pages as you think fit. Weighting images, what I referred to it earlier, is the idea where, if we go through, we'll find some samples. So a lot of these, so we've pretty much the same size images. Avoid these big gaps, right? Avoid these big spaces. But here we took a very simple image, right? Very simple image in its content, so it's mainly pattern, but it's weighted larger, so it's given a larger size. Sometimes that works really well. Here we've got an incredibly detailed image, right? So the ornate altar, but it works perfectly fine as a smaller image. So it's about what you do with the size of the images. So here, some people have said, actually this image I just want it as a full page. And that's absolutely fine to do. But beforehand we had a triptych, right, with the 3 images setting up the scene, and then the text, and then a full page. You can put text over the pages, the images themselves. Right? Here, this isn't 300 words, this is less. But it works in that quiet space. Right? Be careful of using black. Maybe take away from black, and if you're doing this, there's no real jet black in here. So maybe just go for an off black or a dark grey, and you'll see subtle change on your page makes all the difference. Please think about your titles, your layout, and how you're going to position the images. Here we've got beautiful quiet space up here. Not a heavy image with detail, but beautiful spacing. And then we move on and we create these full pages of images. The best way is for you to look at samples and try different things. So, do's and don'ts. Experiment with the layout. And what I mean by that is simply do this and start again. Okay? Start again. Try different images. See how they work together. And once you've got that experimentation, it'll help you with the selection process. And then you photograph it and then work on it digitally. Include a title, but be selective with your title and your type. Right? Try not go for, if it's Chip and Sudbury, try not just go for a title, Chip and Sudbury. Try work on that, but it's something that's going to intrigue your viewer. We've talked about cropping your images. Check your wording and your spelling. Colour balance and tone and contrast. Have it that it's the same throughout. We want these images to belong together. We've talked about the magazines. If you're going to use stroke, right, don't go larger than 3, but also, if you're doing it to one image, put a stroke on all of them. Careful for the idea of skies bleeding out into the page if you've got gaps. Maybe it's a good idea to seal it in. Creative, use the printing guides. Right, so if you're going to be printing, at this stage we're not going to be using these printers, so don't worry too much about the printing guides. Borderless when printing, if you decide to do an inkjet. Check the output size. Right, when you're printing, that paper size and the output size, especially with that printer there, are set to A3 or if it's the A2 one. Save your work unflattened, then go save as and flatten your image. Don't fill your page with too many images, it just gets cluttered. Right? Sometimes it's better about taking some out of the documentary, leave them out if you want, that the viewer can enjoy each image rather than look like they're looking like a mosaic. Don't let your words spill over 2 lines. Alright, no hyphens. No centrally aligned text. Just as you're not writing poems, right? You're not writing limericks. So don't do the centrally aligned text. Font size should be no bigger than 12. If you're doing a black and white documentary or personal work, let's not have them grey. Get that punch in with the contrast. Check when you've done your layout, is there repetition within your images? Are there images that are so similar that they're not saying anything new. Right? So then just select one of them. Talked about strokes no bigger than 3. If you're printed on inkjet, make sure you got a printing set. Do not squash your images. So if you're going to be doing any transformation, Control T, and keep your finger on Shift. Print without print. Or check, get the work checked before it's printed. Don't press any buttons on printers, otherwise you can clog them.